Imagine this. You're in a room, sitting at a control panel. An authority figure in a lab coat tells you to press a button that delivers a 450-volt electric shock, labeled lethal, to a stranger screaming in pain on the other side of the wall. You don't want to do it. Every fiber of your being says it's wrong, but the person in charge insists you have to keep going. What would you do? Welcome to Dark Psychology and Experiments. Today we're diving into one of the most infamous studies ever conducted, the Milgram obedience experiment. Buckle up, this one's going to shock you in more ways than one. In 1961, a psychologist named Stanley Milgram at Yale University set out to answer a chilling question. How far will ordinary people go when an authority figure tells them to harm someone else? This wasn't just curiosity, it was inspired by the horrors of the Holocaust. Milgram wanted to understand how seemingly normal people could commit atrocities simply because they were following orders. Here's how it went down. Volunteers were recruited for what they thought was a memory study. They were assigned the role of teacher, while another person, secretly an actor, was the learner. The setup? The teacher had to ask the learner questions. For every wrong answer, the teacher was told to flip a switch on a machine that delivered an electric shock, starting at 15 volts and climbing all the way to 450 volts, marked with warnings like danger, severe shock, and CACX. The catch? The learner wasn't actually getting shocked, they were faking it, screaming, begging to stop, even pretending to pass out. But the participants didn't know that. Now here's where it gets dark. The experimenter, this calm, authoritative figure in a lab coat, would push the participants to keep going. If they hesitated, he'd say things like, "The experiment requires you to continue," or "You have no choice." No threats, no yelling, just firm, cold insistence. And the results? Out of 40 participants, 65% went all the way to 450 volts. That's right. 2/3 of these everyday people were willing to deliver what they thought was a lethal shock, just because someone in charge told them to. Think about that for a second. These weren't monsters or sadists. They were regular folks, teachers, office workers, parents. Many of them were shaking, sweating, even begging to stop, but they kept going. Why? Because the authority figure took the blame. "I'm not responsible," they'd tell themselves. "He told me to do it." It's a glimpse into the terrifying power of obedience, and how it can strip away our moral compass. The experiment didn't just shock the participants, it shocked the world. When Milgram published his findings, people were horrified. But the backlash wasn't just about the results. The ethics of the study itself were a nightmare. Participants weren't told the full truth up front, and many left traumatized, wrestling with the realization of what they were capable of. Some psychologists argued Milgram crossed a line, putting people through that kind of distress for science. Others said it was worth it because it exposed a truth we can't ignore. So, what does this mean for us? The Milgram experiment isn't just a relic of the 60s, it's a mirror. It forces us to ask, are we really in control of our actions, or are we just puppets when authority pulls the strings? History's full of examples: the Holocaust, war crimes, even cult followings. And today, think about blind loyalty to leaders, corporations, or even social media trends. How much of what we do is because we're told to, not because we choose to? Here's the kicker. Milgram's study has been replicated over the years, and the results? They're eerily consistent. Most people still obey, even when they know it's wrong. So, I'll leave you with this. If you were in that chair, staring at that 450-volt switch with an authority figure breathing down your neck, what would you do? That's it for today's dive into the dark side of the mind. If this got your gears turning, hit that like button, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, would you obey or would you walk away? Until next time, keep questioning what drives us, even when it's uncomfortable. See you in the shadows.